Maxine. Oh, yeah. You said it was.
I enjoyed it, but it was probably
Your least favorite.
my least favorite of the trilogy.
I thought it was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. And as for me, I had a blast watching this movie.
I had a great time.
I really like the 80s New York aesthetic. It kind of reminded me of a film I only kind of barely remember, and it's only just sort of vibes in my head. Angel?
Yeah.
YUNKJunk!
What an idiot. What's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? Welcome to the CultPop Pearlcast, episode X, a show where we would talk about movies, TV, comics, 80s exploitation, and all the other things that scratch your nerdy little itches. We're coming to you live from YUNKJunk HQ, a bomb-ass podcast production space right here in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Manayunk.
How can you prove it's live?
I don't have a newspaper, like a ransom newspaper.
They go
I didn't come prepared. Sorry.
Our phones. My phone says it is Wednesday, July 10th at 8:04.
If you are in the chat, we will respond to you in real time.
Yeah,
that's a better way to
prove
prove
we're
it.
live.
I'm your sleazy host, JD of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at
4327 Main Street, right here in Manayunk, PA.
a super rad comic shop that caters to super rad folks just like you. So come on in and buy my shit. With me tonight to talk is Alice.
Hi.
And Noel.
Where?
Also in the booth is our trusty producer, Dylan the Great. So if anything goes right or wrong, Dylan did it. Say hi, Dylan.
Hi, Dylan.
I wish we had can we get a Dylan cam? Like with a fisheye lens?
We can work on that.
That would be so great. I would love
that.
that. Before we jump into tonight's show, we want to thank you for joining us. If you're here with us live, as I already said, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, show us your newspaper.
Yeah, share
Make
pictures.
sure you're live.
Send pictures of your newspaper to make sure that we know that you're watching live.
And hit the bell icon so you know when this goofy shit happens.
With time
Go
codes.
out and buy a newspaper if you don't have one.
Screenshots, time codes. Yeah, who has newspapers?
Ask your grandparents what a newspaper is.
Show me your
Or
newspaper
was.
subscription, digital, because you don't get them anymore, and then we'll go from there.
My wife has a subscription to the New York Times, and she let me use it. So now I get updates that I don't read. We love a little back and forth, so pipe up in the chat and send us emails at.
So pile on in the chat.
That's right, coldpopgo@gmail.com. For tonight's main topic, I'll tell you what, we're going to review the brand new Ty West film, MaXXXine, as well as follow up on a previous week's topic and briefly share our thoughts about A Quiet Place Day 1.
How would you say Maxine with 3 X's? I
just did it. Maxine or MaXXXine? Oh yeah,
I would do that.
Yeah.
Snap, crackle, pop, in.
The worst mouth sounds. Just
I like a good ASMR, like mouth sounds.
I like certain ASMRs.
She'll click her teeth with a pen. I love that. Anyway, but before we get into that,
pass. Yeah.
Smash then pass. Before we get into that, I'd like to introduce a new old segment, one I previously called "What You Been Up To This Week, Huh?" But I have discovered through emails and everything else that people hate it because I'm purposely trying to annoy you. So I changed the name.
What's the origin for people that haven't been listening to you for 10 years? What's the origin of "I want to annoy my co-hosts"?
Oh, well, I mean, my co-hosts would annoy me and then I would annoy them. And then we used to make fun of how anime back in the day when it was overdubbed would be like, end every sentence with a huh. So we thought it'd be funny.
To me, that's more Metallica. That's more James Hetfield. Yeah. Like after the end of every lyric, you get like a yeah. Right?
Yep.
Dylan knows what I'm talking about. Like
I got you.
What's a metallic lyric? Just
enter Sandman?
No, nothing else matters. And
Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
So this segment I like to call "Hey Cold Poppers, What's Poppin'?" wherein I ask my friends, "What's poppin'?" Alice, you're up first.
What's poppin'? All the way down. What's poppin'?
Yeah, that's it.
I won't do that again. I'm sorry.
It is so hot.
So please keep doing it.
Yeah.
I this week read Ribbon Queen.
Yeah.
Ribbon Queen by Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows.
Jason Burrows of Necronomicon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. His
Alan Moore.
His art is just for body horror.
I was gonna say that was
exclusively body horror.
So this wasn't even on my radar. I walked into your shop one day just to say hey, and you handed it to me. You're like, I put this aside for you. And I was like, why? And you opened it to a very graphic page and you're like, this is why. And I was like, okay, take my money.
Was it the actual ribboning from like the first issue?
Yeah. It's the ribboning. So basically people get ribboned to shreds in this book.
He's conscious the whole time.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot happening there.
It's a crime.
Yes, it's a crime
procedural.
Crime procedural, like a structure of it, and then supernatural elements occur.
Like the ribboning.
Like the ribboning. Yeah, it wasn't a person ribboning another person. It just happened supernaturally.
For anyone that's not, we keep saying ribboning. It is
Can I show?
I don't know if you could or should show it.
Graphic.
Kind of what's happening on the cover here. This
little pieces of skin, maybe about an inch, half an inch thick, are just slowly peeled off in ribbons.
Yeah,
it's cute.
Yeah, it's real cute, as ribbons are. They're known to be. So, I enjoyed this. I like a good crime procedural, and I also liked, and we talked about this last week when we were talking about like movie fetishes. It has an element of a revenge plot, good for her type thing, and
good for her.
And like I don't want to spoil much, but there's some good for her. And there is a character who works in a morgue, and he was a cool dude. He was a cool dude. I liked him.
Does it pass?
It passes. Yeah. It passes. Yeah, he's a cool dude. I liked him. Green flags. Oh, yeah, green flags. Yeah, from my other podcast. And there's actually a really cool panel where he's at work, so he's doing an autopsy, but the art, it's like you're inside the chest cavity, so like he's like looking down at you, but you can see like the rib.
That's awesome.
And it was one of my favorite panels. It was really cool. I really enjoyed this. So if you like a crime procedural with a little bit of supernatural elements to it, I'd recommend.
Pretty gory.
It is very gory.
I was pulling in issues, and I got up to like 4, and I really liked it, but I just didn't finish it yet.
Yeah, I read the first 2, and I was like, oh, this is solid. And then I forgot.
Yeah.
Robert Monroe Jr. is in the chat saying, good evening, Cold Poppers. I hope everyone's cool, comfortable, and surviving this heat wave. We are cool. We are not comfortable.
Yeah, let's
I mean, cool emotionally.
Let's not talk about the weather.
Yeah.
Because it's just I am triggered by the weather. Like, it's well hot, right? I just want to rip faces off.
I'm so sweaty.
I was fine inside,
rip faces off.
And then I walked outside, and my hand just became so wet. I had trouble using my iPhone.
That's gross.
Because I was immediately moist. Anywhoomst. Hey, Noel.
Hey, JD. Hey, Noel. Hey, JD. Hey, JD. Hey, Noel.
Hey, Noel.
You ask him.
Yeah.
Oh God, I gotta say it funny. Yeah. I can't. No.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'?
There you go.
Woohoo! I, along with 41 million other people this past weekend, turned on. I was in a bad mood, as I often am.
You and 41 million people were in a bad mood at the same.
Okay, so like maybe I conflated all those other people. All 30, 40.
A little bit of projection.
40,999,999 people.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in a bad mood on Friday, so I was like, you know what? I just want to put something on that's comfortable and brainless. So I turned on Netflix, and Beverly Hills Cop Axel F was on the view screen, and I immediately hit play. So for anybody
no thought, you're just like you.
Yeah, that.
Put it in me.
As it was loading, I started humming. I was ready. I was in.
Sorry, I had to finish it.
Yeah. Is it like a
yeah?
It's a tick. Like,
it's a tick. I have
so
to finish it.
So if I was just in the middle of a sentence being like do.
I used to be my ringtone. Back when people like had their phones not on silent, and like I like recorded it like on the radio, like it was my flip phone.
What?
I know.
My flip phone ringtone was the Alias theme song.
Oh, mine is currently the IT Crowd.
Also a deep cut.
Yeah.
Mine's whatever.
Beverly Hills Cop F is a Beverly Hills Cop Part 4. But for some reason it's Axel F after the main character Axel Foley.
Well, and also that ringtone, the name of that is Axel F.
Yeah, well,
that song is called Axel
Harold
F.
Faltermeyer, the original. What?
Go on, I'm impressed.
Harold Faltermeyer, the original composer for that theme, and a bunch of other '80s action movies. That synth noise.
Yeah.
That theme is called Axel Foley.
Oh, Axel Foley, not Axel F.
Well, it's the Axel F theme, and then for this one, Lauren Balfe did the score, and he kind of did a remix of it. It's really fucking good.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anyway. It is such a comfortable movie. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you have seen the original Beverly Hills Cop movies.
Yeah.
No,
I'm old.
They're very much of a time. The first one came out in 1984. It's literally 40 years ago. And then 87, then 94. And now 30 years later, like just absolutely weird that this is still a thing. But it's very simple procedural. Axel Foley is a 60-year-old cop who refuses to.
He looks good.
He looks great.
That man does not look 60.
His chief former partner is Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of jokes where he just like tells other people is like, this motherfucker's same age as me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. But yeah, he looks great.
Hunting.
But his estranged daughter in Beverly Hills is a lawyer. She takes on a case where something happens and she gets in danger. So he goes to Beverly Hills to help her out, whether she wants it or not.
Because the whole spiel is like what? He's a New York cop. Detroit cop.
He's a Detroit cop that just over the last 40 years has been brought to Beverly Hills for some sort of MacGuffin or reason or case. This week for me has been the week of Kevin Bacon as a sleazeball.
Yes.
Because he's the protagonist. He's the antagonist in Beverly Hills Cop.
All right, I'm in.
I love that. I'm in now.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the straight-laced Beverly Hills detective that has to deal with Foley. And it is just a very fun, practical, simple little action movie.
Is it?
It's very funny. Yeah.
Never mind.
Well,
does he still bring it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty
still funny.
Yes, but it also contextually doesn't ignore how old he is. Right. There's a couple. If you've seen the other movies, there's Axel Foley. The character's superpower is that he will just go off and try and talk his way out of things, whether he has a weapon or not. It's just like commits to the bit. He commits to the bit. Yeah. There are 2 or 3 times in this movie where he either decides not to or can't because it just gets deflated immediately and it's its own funny.
Yeah.
It was a really solid movie. And honestly, the only dig I really have against it is I don't know why I had to see it on Netflix. It would have made money in the theater. I
assumed when you said you were going to watch it, I assumed it was in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a Netflix premiere.
Original? Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would have made Bad Boys money.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have seen this in the theater.
I'm assuming Bad Boys made good money.
Bad Boys Ride or Die did very, very well.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Carl's is in the chat saying, hey, everyone. Carl's from Tasmania.
Oh,
come to Tasmania. We're in Tasmania.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, we missed you.
Watch Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. It's fun. It's stupid, but it's fun.
Do we have to watch Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3?
No.
But do you recommend it?
Axel F is the 3rd best Beverly Hills Cop movie. It goes personally 2, 1, F, 3.
Okay, cool.
2, 1, F, 3.
A lot of people though go 1, 2, and then forget about the rest.
Okay.
Part 3, I have a special place in my heart for. That's the first one I saw in the theaters because it came out in '94. A lot of people fucking hate it. But he goes to a Disney World style theme park because there's a murder. It's stupid. It's like backstage in Disney is the crime, and it's really funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that you guys are experiencing a heat wave. It's winter here, cold as fuck here.
Bring it over.
Carl's.
Bring it over.
Bring me one single snowflake.
You know what is dependent on the temperature? That's a good meal. So JD, what's poppin'?
I'll tell you what's poppin'. The Bear season 3 dropped last 2 weeks ago.
Time is a flat circle.
Sometime before right now. And I loved The Bear season 1.
Excellent.
And season 2.
Fantastic.
I have not watched yet.
You've not bared it up?
I'm not a bear fan. I'm sure I would be, but I haven't watched it.
When we started watching we waited a while before starting the first season because a lot of people were talking about it. It was the greatest thing in the world. Season 2 was about to come out, and we were like, we'll try this.
That took a while too.
And my wife is a nervous person in general, so we're watching the first episode, and everyone's got knife skills. and they're constantly like crushing it.
I kept waiting.
She's like, it's gonna happen, I kept trying to impart on her that is not this show. It's the kind of show where they're showing you that not to make you nervous, but to illustrate how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
competence porn.
Thank you. Competence porn. Which is half of my TikTok of people like cooking gourmet meals.
Yeah. That I'll never make.
No, never.
But I'm like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, like, oh, you have Wagyu beef and you're going to make tacos? Cool. Let's see it. That's the dumbest thing in the world. But anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, so it is a very stressful show.
Yeah.
And, but one that I thoroughly enjoy. And this season, I think, was we had different opinions. He had finished it before I did. He had his opinions about it. And I was like, nah, I don't think any of that. And then literally we watched the last episode, the season finale last night. And as the credits fade to black happened, I screamed, fuck you. Actually, it wasn't a scream. It wasn't a scream.
It was a chortle.
Fuck you.
It was a chortle of fuck you.
Yeah. So I agree with what Noel has said before that. Is that
I feel validated.
There's no plot there. There are things set up. Mm-hmm. There are conflicts between several characters. Our main character, the bear.
It's Jeremy Allen White, right?
Yeah.
He's the bear. The titular bear.
Carmine Barazzo.
Yeah. And cousin.
Richie
and then
Barazzo.
him and his girlfriend
Claire Bear.
And
Everyone's got a fucking name. Claire Bear, Sugar, Unk, Carmi.
Yeah, it's cute that way. So anyway, they set up at least 3 different 4.
There's like 4 or 5 main conflicts and plots throughout the whole 10 episodes.
And all I wanted was at least one of them to get wrapped up. That does not happen. And it ends with a to be continued. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I feel like you should know going in so that maybe you're less disappointed than I was.
Yeah, it's really weird space. Like the show, this season specifically, the previous 2 seasons, it's always stressful. It's always a little agitating, but it leaves you at least with a little bit of closure or finality for some sort of aspect.
Yeah. There's a crescendo,
and then they usually wait till like the last minute to kind of. So it's just kind of subtly telling you this was what the journey was worth. Let's go.
Yeah,
and you're there for the next one. I suspect they approved or greenlit seasons 3 and 4 at the same time. So this is like a 2-season arc.
It just feels like one season.
But they absolutely forgot.
Half a season.
They absolutely forgot to give you something to hang on to. Yeah. It's just, it's a little navel gazy.
Oh yeah. Which at times I really appreciated. Like I enjoyed watching it. I remember after the first episode of season 3, we finished it. I was like,
there's like barely any dialogue.
I have never seen a season premiere like that in my life. How cool.
There's very little dialogue in that entire, and also what I love about that, they do it like 5 times during the season. Yeah. They do not tell you what you're seeing.
Yeah.
They show you the far past, the recent past, current day, and have no real visual cues as to what you're seeing. You're just, it's like a poem. Yep. And the only thing that you can really realize, like the only thing that tells you is that, well, there's no way that he's in Amsterdam right now, so that must be a flashback. Oh, his hair's a little shorter here, so that must be a flashback. Yeah. Oh, he's in his kitchen, so this must be current, but it might be most recent flash, but not like it was all just vibes.
It was vibes, yeah.
Which is enjoyable, but there was also no meat on the bone at the end of the day. Like they didn't give me anything.
Yeah, I think I said earlier for a show about food, I left feeling empty.
And like they did overcomplicate the season in a good way. Like there are 4 or 5 like main conflicts, plots. Remove one of them, and then I would feel some sort of closure about the entire season. Yeah. Like, let's take a bunch of it over. There was one relationship that got mildly resolved throughout the whole season, and that was awesome. That was my favorite episode. But other than that, it was like, I mean, I'm going to keep watching because the acting is phenomenal. The show is really, really great, but this was not an overall fun experience.
The acting is so good in this episode that last night we were watching the finale and I was like, it's like watching a documentary.
Yeah.
It feels so naturalistic. These people feel so lived in and used up, but they felt like real people having real conversations, and that's what I really appreciate.
The show is, Dylan, you've watched The Bear?
Oh yeah.
Have you finished season 3?
I have. I just finished it the other day. I'm on the same page with you guys. I think very much like the next season is going to be where they get into it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would watch a whole other season just like this one solely for the Fak brothers. And their comedic relief, the haunting.
It was the haunting.
Oh my God.
It was
so funny.
I liked it at first. And then I started to get annoyed because I wanted to see the actual plot.
Yeah.
But then we got a whole nother, and like every season there's a bunch of guest spots. Cool. There was like 75 guest stars. Yeah. And they were all related to the facts. Yeah. I'm like, okay, guys. Yeah. I know that like it's a really popular show and everyone's probably calling the creator like, I would just do one day
walk on.
Yeah. But then to believe that John Cena's their cousin.
Yeah.
I loved that. I thought that was so
It was
funny.
a really funny scene in a bubble, but after the season I was thinking like, we spent like maybe an hour's worth of screen time just talking about haunts.
About haunts, yeah.
I know.
And
it's like the conversation was haunting me.
Yeah, I'm like, but wouldn't it be cooler if I actually learned about what Sydney's going to decide to do?
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah. Or like, come on.
Are they going to apologize?
I feel like the Fak brothers just being like peppered in there is what's going to allow it to sweep the comedy section in the freaking
Also,
Golden Globes.
I think too that the show, this is close to spoilers, but not really. The show, how they handle the Claire of it all is a disservice to Claire because she is only featured in flashback and
one
the
scene.
facts.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite scene of theirs where they go out, like they cross the line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's the first time they've been useful in the plot of the whole show. And not just
wandering
funny.
in like, I'm sick.
Yeah.
I also love that they show up at the hospital.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I'm sorry. Again, after the birth.
Oh, that's right.
They're the only ones who show up.
That's
to sit with mom.
That's my favorite episode of the entire season. That and napkins.
What's her name?
This is really funny to listen to when I have no idea what's happening. Napkins and babies
and
and
random words.
Yeah. Anyway,
facts and bears. And
you should still watch Bear.
I'm going. Yeah, I intend to.
You know what I completely forgot? I'm calling an audible. One more thing I want to add real quick. Bad mood continued. We decided to put on something that didn't require effort, but just noise. There's a documentary on Netflix called Love to Hate. Nobody knows where I'm going with this?
Is it the Nickelback documentary?
It's a Nickelback documentary.
My God. I don't think Kos is in the chat, but he's going to want to watch that.
We're watching this documentary and it's just like, nah. They have so many bangers that I forgot completely about.
They're not bad.
Hot take. They're unoffensively fine.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Unoffensively fine. And like the documentary is so milquetoast. It's just like their origin and then like the seed of the hate. And they kind of like focus the hate on the time. Like there's a period of time, like a 2-week period of time where the song from Spider-Man came out. And at the same time, Photograph was on the radio. And at the same time, something else. It was like 4. That's
He's
right.
in. He's in. He like popped up.
It's his bat signal.
Did like the N or the what is their signal? Would it be just like the eyeball with the silver tear?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But either way, it was like such an inoffensive and milquetoast documentary. But both Sam and I were sitting there. I'm over 40. She's close to it. We're sitting there like, yeah, you know what? I actually like that song when I heard it the first time too, and that's actually
I had a Nickelback CD. I was like 10 years old, and I went and I bought a Nickelback CD.
It is a
that
wonderful.
Sounds about right.
It's a wonderful case, but that's just it. It's a wonderful case. It's a wonderful case for oversaturation, just creating a narrative because they are wildly inoffensive and just popular, but they became so popular that it was just like, get it the fuck out of my face.
Like Insane Clown Posse.
Oh my God.
I actually don't think
Wait,
that
Costa also.
No, I'm kidding.
Costa, I swear to God, if I find out you're a juggalo, we're done.
Carl
ICP
says,
for
dude,
life.
I live in Tasmania. Even though it gets cold, it doesn't really snow unless you go up to the mountains. It's just rain and it's cold.
I'll go
Sounds
to
like
the mountains.
Florida.
All right, so that's what was popping. We're going to get into our, well, I guess it's not our main review, our second to main review.
Our mini review.
Yeah, our penultimate review, A Quiet Place Day 1 from 2024, directed by Michael Sarnotsky, starring Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. When New York City comes under attack from an alien invasion, a woman and other survivors try to find a way to survive, or to safety. They soon learn that they must remain absolutely silent as the mysterious creatures are drawn.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So they're in New York City. This is interesting because when I asked the question last week if we thought we'd survive, you said you're like, well, we're in a city. Like we'd probably be fucked. So this is. I didn't see this, full disclosure. I didn't have a chance to see this. So
Yeah, we're not going to spoil the end.
So the very first part of the very first thing that happens in this movie is you have a black screen and then you get text. And it's basically like New York City is a city. And that's exactly, end quote. New York City is
New
a
York
city.
City people.
And then it tells
picturing
you
this on.
Slices. Trains.
Hey, keep New York out of your mouth.
homeless, I guess.
Hey,
These fucking guys with the giants and the...
up.
And
Go
so-
Bills.
play
Go
in New
Bills.
York.
Go Bills.
That's the only real New York team, by the way.
You're
For the
telling me.
NFL. Yeah.
Sports. Anyway, the whole point is the thing on the screen tells you that like, oh, this is how much sound happens in New York City. It is like someone constantly screaming.
Yeah,
and so
like an
I
average
thought,
of 90
True.
decibels. It's
Yeah.
which is the register of a scream. So it's the hum is a scream.
So I thought in the same way that in the first movie they go behind a waterfall, it would be easier in a city to hide from these things because it is so loud all the time. There are things louder than you happening at all times.
And they
You
just
would
get
be-
confused. The creatures just get confused.
Well, I mean,
But then
commerce
things
completely
qui-
stopped.
Yeah, things quiet down.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. So
They
anyway,
blow up the bridges like it's nothing. Yeah.
we're gonna give our quick thoughts. Alice was not able to see it. So
I
we're
thought
not-
you were going to ask me my thoughts. So I was
No.
going to be like, on New York?
I wanted to see
lived
it.
there.
I think the trailer was fun. Yeah.
But we're not gonna spoil it, right?
I'm not going to spoil the end. I mean, I don't know if you can spoil the end. The movie's a prequel. How much is to be spoiled or not is to
Although-
be debated.
Banger ending. That last shot, awesome.
With the
Oh, well, now I know how it ends. Just kidding.
So I thought I love.
yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was. I love A Quiet Day. A Quiet Place. I love.
I love a quiet day, too.
I love A Quiet Day.
Quiet
I
day
like
at
a good quiet
Just
day.
home.
on the couch,
Reading my
feet up,
books.
fan on.
Just me pop on some Nickelback to 90
Look at
decibels
this
like a scream.
photograph.
And I like the second one, whatever that was called.
Part 2.
Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't complicated.
New York City is a city.
Yeah, it's like there's not even a fucking colon. It's
Yeah.
just part 2.
Um,
This one's got a colon. Day
Ew.
1.
Oh, I had one of those anoscopy recently. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
So,
hear
Quiet
it.
Place Day 1, I
A
think
colonoscopy. Day 1.
is very solid. It is a very solid thriller. Action? Is it action thriller? Action thriller.
Sure.
Yeah. Action
Science
thriller.
action, action, horror thriller.
Yeah.
Hit all those bases. Are there
Yeah.
jokes? Could it also be a comedy?
There are some comedic
There you go.
events.
There's a couple bits.
There's some situational comedy.
This is my least favorite of the 3. I had heard going in that people were like, it's better than the other 2. And I was like, what?
I find that hard to believe
Yeah,
just because
the
I
first
love the
one's
other two
kinda,
so
for
much.
me, a perfect
It's
thriller.
so good.
So
Yeah.
good. Mwah. And so I think I wound up with this one being my least favorite, but it is very solid. I love I like Lupita Nyong'o's character. It's one of those things where it's not a spoiler. You find this out literally the first shot of the movie. She is a cancer patient who is in hospice. She is dying. She does not have long to go.
Yeah.
And part of me goes, what a cool decision to make. We don't usually see this sort of action hero, right?
Mhm.
But then also, is it trying to manipulate me emotionally?
All movies are trying to manipulate you emotionally.
Too much.
Sure.
I've come down on, no, she's awesome and I love her. But I remember thinking like, we're starting off with like.
I can make a case in the other direction of like the emotional manipulation is toothless because she will die whether she makes it out of this or
that's
not.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like if anything, it sets her up.
That ass dough?
Lupita Nyong'o's or Joseph Quinn. Are you talking about Joseph Quinn?
Quinn's ass? Joseph Quinn, by the way, from Stranger Things.
I do love.
Got a rump.
He's got a rumpy dumps.
Do love Joseph Quinn.
What did you think?
I really, really liked it. So the discourse about this movie on film Twitter and horror Twitter, I've learned that there are two types of people, maybe two camps of people, not necessarily about this, but just in general. Those that want the mechanics spelt out for you as to how we get from point A to point B and explicitly how, and those that are perfectly happy with just an emotional core.
Oh, I think it might be the second.
I'm more the second as long as the first isn't completely broken.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of people or a lot of things that I've read are talking about how day one felt like a cheat. Or like, I think the film podcast guys talked about this, where it feels like day one feels like the title lied to me because in the film, the main character gets knocked out and then wakes up knowing the rules. As an audience, we know the rules because we've watched two other movies, but they think that it was almost a cheat to them because, well, it's the first day and I want to see how people figure this out.
That's a good point.
But as a viewer, I know it, and everyone knows walking in it already. Yeah. So is that a waste of time?
Right.
Or is that a lie or not meeting expectations of how, the world functions after this happens. Mm-hmm. So I get that, but I also think that it's kind of silly because the emotional core of the movie was great.
Yeah.
The acting was great. The choices were great. But then I can also be like, yeah, I know it doesn't give us any
yada something that you really wanted.
Yeah, they yada it. It doesn't give you any like new lore. Well, it does, but it doesn't.
A little bit, but I don't know. But also, what was that?
Yeah.
The nums.
But
the nums.
Overall, like my both Sam and I were just like, this was good. Like this was more emotionally effective than
it had any right to be?
Yeah, basically.
For a third movie?
Basically. Yeah. And I think it's my second favorite.
Oh, yeah?
By places.
What's just above?
The second one.
Part two.
Only because part two just was more of a retread. It was a cool-ass retread, but there was really nothing new. Just we kept going.
It was a continuation.
Whereas this was, hey, let's not just repeat the second and the first one in the same exact way, and let's have two wildly different characters in a wildly different setting and treat the story completely differently. Yeah. Like the Death Angels. We call them Death Angels, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what they're called, Death Angels.
I didn't know
that. They are immaterial. Like it is whatever. Mm-hmm. Like the movie is basically about these two people. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of cool. It was like a little character drama in the middle of fucking craziness.
Is the friends we made along the way.
Yes. It's the journey.
The Death Angels are the friends we made along.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get more like that out of the second one when they kind of hinted like that the people were going to be like the monsters, like Cillian Murphy's character, whose name is escaping me now. He was like, you don't want to meet those kind of people out there. And then we get like one scene with them.
Which was gnarly.
It was gnarly, but I was expecting like the whole movie to be like, oh, now we're going to get into the element. Like, yeah. But so I wanted more of it to be about like the monsters are literally the friends we made along the way that aren't our friends anymore and are trying to kill us.
Also, we get day one in part two.
That's what I mean.
They don't show us how they figured it out either.
There's just
all of a sudden they're just thinking all in a restaurant going.
So the director of this, Michael Sarnowski, he did Pig, which I haven't seen yet, but I really want to. Yeah. Did you see it?
No.
I want to. Yeah.
Now that I'm on the Nicolas Cage train.
Very like Cage train.
Cage train, baby.
Choo choo, motherfucker. Woohoo.
I'm gonna get you a hat that says like Cage train.
Cage train?
Like a conductor hat.
Cage train?
I will conduct the Cage train to the horizon and beyond. Yeah. Which is hell. Into the sun. Yeah.
Playing Nickelback as we go.
Yeah. This is how you remind me. God, what was my thought?
I'm so sorry. Quiet
Place,
Look, Pink in the Apocalypse in the chat. I saw day one. It was good, stripped down, minimal narrative, and not the bombastic alien invasion flick I was expecting. Looking forward to watching the first original. Oh yeah, you watched this one first.
I read that.
That's right.
I'm so curious how you feel about the other ones. Please keep us posted.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. Oh, Sarnofsky, yes,
director.
He subverted expectations by focusing the movie on these two people that would never have met in any other occasion whatsoever for so many reasons. And also too, I found one sequence in particular really, really hopeful, but then also terrifying as fuck. And that was the mass exodus.
Hope is terrifying.
On foot mass exodus. Yes. Like it was like, oh, that's beautiful in a weird way, but then also everyone being quiet in the same way is so noisy. And it just became a completely different scene.
That was a great
there's
scene.
So many cool things in this movie that when I see that the main argument is just, well, I wanted to see day one, I feel like maybe they missed the point a little, or it's just a different viewership kind of thing.
Oh, that didn't even occur to me, other than like, oh, I guess they know they're in the same way we got it in part 2. Oh, they just figured it out off screen, I guess.
But
I was okay with it.
Like oftentimes a movie, whether it's through the advertising or the title, or it promises something. Yeah. And some people felt like it didn't promise them.
Gotcha.
Or didn't fulfill that promise.
Carls asks, if I send you all an Australian horror movie on Blu-ray, will you guys review it for the show? Yes.
What's the movie? You may not have to send it. We could just find it. Carl, tell us the movie, and we won't read it out loud. We'll just read it.
Because I would love that. If people would, I would love to do that every week. If someone would send us something to review.
Yeah, man. I don't want you to waste postage if we can find it.
Especially from Australia. Holy shit. That's expensive. So yeah. And the only other problem I had with it is it stretched the limits of credulity. Credulity. Like you had with one of the other quiet places.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Was I distracting you, or was I offending you?
No.
Anyway.
Necrotronic.
Now let's get a clean. Oh yeah, that's available on Shudder.
Oh,
hell yeah.
I'm almost positive that's available on Shudder. I wanted some silence really quick so Dylan can get a clean version of this. No. I'm just kidding.
That was
I'm
fun.
not fucking doing
that. Was a good setup.
That was good.
We were all for it too.
Day 17.
Good bit.
What were we talking about? Day 1?
Day 1.
A quiet day.
It was a good
Credulity.
Oh, credulity. Yes.
There is a cast member of this movie that I do not believe would be as quiet as they are this entire time. I kept waiting for this cast member to give the other cast members away, and it never happens. And I was kind of angry.
It's Chad Kroeger from
Yeah.
He kept looking at photos, and you're like, "You're gonna sing. You're gonna sing about it."
He kept picking it up and like, "No, Chad," with their eyes because they can't say it. Like, no,
don't do it.
Shush, Chad.
Just like holding it up, like, look, as no. Anyway, love to hate Nickelback.
This is literally why people hated Nickelback, is because they made a meme out of them. I'm just doing it more.
My sense of my stretching of credulity is in the other two movies, you were only dealing with 1 or 2 death angels. It was more sparse because it was in the Midwest. In this one, there are hordes of them, running through the streets. They make a lot of noise, so we don't necessarily. Now, do I need this? No. But they don't necessarily tell us the rules as to how they're able to decipher themselves over other noisemakers or other noises, which is not something I ever even bothered thinking of in the other movies because the contextually didn't matter. Here, you literally hear like the building shake with them running through the streets, and it's real
like loud, guys. How do you know?
Yeah, is this where we can start talking
or pray?
Because you can talk while they're running, because they can't hear it over that kind of thing. But whatever, it's fine. It didn't ruin it, but it was like, meh.
We were having fun on TikTok because you had asked a couple weeks ago if we would survive a quiet place, and then people were chiming in on a TikTok and talking about like
TikTok?
if you have to shit, you're out of luck. And I was like, yeah. At least one time in each of these movies, I found myself thinking, I had diarrhea right now.
Oh my god!
Like, how do you have quiet diarrhea? Do you just like shit into a pillow fort? Like how? It's impossible.
Build a little no.
Shit into a pillow fort.
Yeah.
I just want to
because it'll just
Don't sleep on those. Those are the
that's my shit fort. Don't
shitting pillows.
get out of there.
shit into a pillow fort.
Well, because it'll land on the pillows and it won't be loud.
But it's not the. First of all, I don't.
I'm in the fort,
feel
right?
like I'm talking to a I feel like I'm talking to a toddler right now who thinks that the noise comes from the shit hitting things.
Yeah, and also,
are you spraying it with like the effort of a fucking hose against a brick wall for it to make a splat noise that's loud enough?
You're the person who uses the gas station bathroom before everyone. That makes sense.
The noise comes from the air pockets in your ass, not from it hitting. It's not going to be like a quiet, soft down pillow catching your turd.
Plop, 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 plop.
No, it's you farting it out that's going to make the noise,
but
right?
Also, if I'm in the pillows,
so what you could do,
it's dampened.
Or to hold a pillow to your ass and shit in it, that'll muffle it.
Do that too.
This is awful. It's an awful fucking conversation, and I'm sorry.
I have some cool shit that I want to send you guys, says Carl Carls. I know I said that there would be no more presents, but I lied. Thank you. I will take all the presents.
How dare you, son of a bitch.
And Pink says, not to be confused with Necromantic, which is what I thought, Pink.
Necrotronic is on Amazon Prime. We'll watch it.
This beat is Necrotronic. All right, so Quiet Place Day One. Let us know what you thought of it by emailing us at cultpopgo@gmail.com or just tweet at us
Monica
at
Bellucci's in this movie?
What?
What the fuck?
Oh, I'm in. Oh, that's a hell of a poster. I love that. Has JD never pooped before?
Apparently. Maybe when JD poops,
it's like spiking a football into the toilet. Don't judge.
But still, okay. Unless...
Have you ever heard a horse piss?
Unless...
It's like that, but out of my butt.
Unless it is the exact shape and size of your intestines and there are no air pockets coming out, you're still gonna fart. You're still gonna make noise.
Maybe you do. I got my shit down.
Now, if it's always liquid and you need to change your diet, then maybe it's not the same kind of thing.
I did have an endoscopy recently, so it was quite like a horse dick was pissing out of my ass.
A horse dick.
So Maxine is our main review.
Speaking of horse dick,
how many horse dicks pissing out of an ass do you give this movie? 1 to 4. How many?
Quiet Place Day One?
Yeah, how many horse dicks? Not just horse dicks pissing out of an ass.
I give this 3 out of 5 horse dicks pissing out of asses.
I said out of 4, but wait, I changed the rules.
2.5 out of 2.5. You chop it.
If it was 4, I'd say 3. If it's 5, I'd say 3.5.
You get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Maxine was another thing that dropped this week, and that is
also some dick crushing. But go on.
Oh, that's true. Oh, God. There was. Written and directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth, Elizabeth Debicki, Kevin Bacon, and Giancarlo Esposito. This is the third in a trilogy by Ty West, which started off with X and then became, they gave us the prequel, which was called Pearl. And now this is wrapping up that trilogy with Max, with three X's.
MaXXXine.
In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minx finally gets her big break. However, we thought we were going to end there. However, as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Los Angeles, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. So, you actually saw this one.
I did.
So we're going to start with you. Take us through real quick. We're going to take through X, then Pearl, then this. Very briefly, what did you think of X?
I loved it. Brilliant.
Okay, that's
now Pearl.
What did you think of Pearl?
I, once again, loved it. I still think I liked X more.
Okay, X, Pearl.
X, Pearl.
Great. X.
Loved it.
Pearl.
It was fine.
Okay. X. Fine. Pearl. Awesome. Pearl. X.
X, Pearl.
That's where we're at.
That's me, X and Pearl, but they're close for me.
I also want to talk about how cool it is that it was sort of a secret that Ty West did X and then secretly, I mean, it was a secret to me. He never called and told me. Maybe you guys knew about this, but
He texted me.
I did. Oh, see? Well, that makes sense.
You're not on the Ty West text chain?
I'm not.
Oh, you're not in that group chat? Shit.
He filmed Pearl while filming or directly after filming.
They were released almost
they were released 6 months ago. They filmed all of Pearl during the same production.
Okay, great.
So I mean, they may have done it out of order,
all the same
but
set,
it was in the
basically.
same production.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much a showcase for, I think, an actress I don't think I've heard of before watching X, Mia Goth. Do we know Mia Goth from something before this?
I did not.
I did.
Well, do you remember what it was?
It was some Lars von Trier movies, like real stuff. Wasn't she in with Shia LaBeouf? Wasn't she in like one of the?
She in Nymphomaniac?
Oh yeah, I didn't see that, but she was in that.
She was? I don't remember that.
Her
Yeah.
and another woman that looks just like her.
Yeah, it's right there. Nymphomaniac.
Infinity Pool.
Oh yeah,
I did,
and Cure for Wellness.
Suspiria.
So good.
She was in Suspiria. She's always the. She was previous to this. She was always the visually fascinating, like presence. Like she just has a very unique look.
She is visually. She kind of reminds me of Shelley Duvall a little bit in her
little
look.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like she's beautiful, but she's also very unique looking. So like she would be
It's
cast.
not like cookie cutter.
She would be cast in things where she like maybe is just the creepy girl, or is this, or just staring there, or like I've seen her in stuff before.
When I was doing my makeup for the show, I did think about I can
Maxine.
block out my brows and like make it look like I don't have eyebrows. I did think about doing that because she has like the very like thin blonde eyebrows, but I didn't have the time or commitment.
They are barely there. But
it looks so good on her.
Oh, like her.
Yeah.
And so where were we at? What happened?
Oh,
What's going on?
Yeah, the ranking of the movies.
You were ranking the movies, and we were saying we've never seen Mia Goth in anything except you.
Okay. And also she played 2 characters in the first movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and then 1 character in each of these films.
Yes.
What did you think, Alice, of Maxine?
I had a really fun time. I really enjoyed it. I did very much enjoy it. It's my least favorite of the trilogy.
No.
I'm on the same boat as you. I'm glad I saw it, but the movie's a bit of a mess. It's like 5 or 6 different things at once. All of them I enjoy individually, but it just seemed like by the end of it all, I was like, I'm glad they made this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
You told me earlier you're not going to watch it. You're not going to ever watch it.
I will probably never revisit it. Yeah.
See, I'd probably rewatch it.
I'd watch again.
I'd do a trilogy rewatch, but I'd start with like Pearl this time.
Yeah, my feelings on. I finally watched Pearl a couple weeks ago for the first time. I loved X. I thought X was fucking amazing. Filled with characters that I really cared about and I thought was really good, and it was just so. It was fun, but also like X felt dangerous. Nothing was ordinary or safe, but it also wasn't supernatural or crazy. It was just really good, tight, put together. Pearl was like really, really good filler, like good backstory that I didn't really need or ask for. But she was great. Like it was just a showcase for her. There was 4 or 5 huge sequences in Pearl that were just about how good can Mia Goth be. Like they literally just didn't take the camera off her.
Yeah.
Which is great. It was like a play. But as a movie, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I felt
it's fine.
The opposite. I thought that the first one is, I've seen so many, hundreds of slashers over the decades that I was just like, this is a pretty by the book slasher movie, except, oh, isn't it gross that there's an old naked lady? And I thought,
it was like I liked that.
It was but I mean, they use her as like, oh, it's gross and funny. Oh, she's naked and old.
I wouldn't classify it as a slasher, but I hear what you're saying.
And I just thought it was good. I heard all the hubbub, and then I was like, I don't know what all the hubbub's about.
Side conversation, really quick.
Yeah.
How would you define a slasher? I'm going with the Cassie Hack.
Oh no, I'm just talking about people are slashed a lot.
Yeah,
there's a killer.
But, like those are
but
slash flicks, but a slasher is a killer, like a
singular killer.
A character who is a slasher is that a slasher film?
Yeah, a slash flick.
Yeah.
I
call movies like that slashers.
Yeah,
I'm referring
that's what
to
I call
the movie,
slashers.
not the character.
Because like
that's interesting that I want to. Yeah,
you should. Are you not reading Hack Slash?
I have been. Yeah, I'm a little behind on it, but I have been reading Hack
Anyway, sorry.
Wait, I had a side
Just throw me off.
note about X, and one of the reasons I liked it so much is it's like everything I love about horror, and like even some of the tropes, but the tropes, I don't know if this was intentional or not, some of them get like flipped.
Yeah.
So, and I realized this when I was watching it, and my mom walked in, and it was a part when Mia Goth was like swimming naked in a lake. And she's like, oh, she's going to die. Like in every horror movie, like the naked lady swimming by herself is going to die. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's like, they're doing it different. Like she's going to be okay. And then there was another scene later where there was a naked guy running around in his underwear. And usually it's the woman running around in her underwear.
That's true. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. I was like, this is fun. They flipped it around.
We were talking about this in the shop earlier today. Like the reason why I think I affectionately enjoy X more is because I gave a shit about those 5 main characters.
Yeah.
All of their stories were interesting enough to be their own thing. Even like the main producer had a facade that was broken and was really interesting. The main actor, Kid Cudi, you'd think that he was like such a this, but he really was just like, yeah, I just want to help you out, bro. Like he was just really cool.
Yeah.
Like I gave and like the sensitive kid ended up being like the most toxic.
Yeah.
I gave a shit about how that was going to go down.
I agree.
So when it all went belly up, I was invested. With Pearl, it was just, I already know you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just a showcase on how well you could show me you're crazy. And after a while, I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like watching an acting showcase. Yeah. Really, really cool. Doesn't fill me with anything narratively. It's just cool. I like it. Will I revisit it? Probably not.
You know, it kind of, as you were talking, it kind of reminded me of In a Violent Nature.
Yeah, same thing.
Which a movie I haven't seen yet. But the conceit of the film is that you're following a slasher instead of following the kids he kills. And this to me is sort of that. It's just you're following the villain. Not so much their, I guess,
Pearl,
kind of their, Pearl, kind of their origin story, her origin story, but you're not really there to give a crap about the people she's killing, but you're just there to hang out with Pearl and find out how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And just because I have seen it in a Violent Nature, and just like that, I got real bored with it. Because like the concept and the conceit is really, really cool. But for me, when I don't have some sort of character arc or emotional investment, it's just.
Do you not think that Pearl had a character arc?
She did.
Oh.
But she was the aggressor.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't as interesting. Also, I know where that character arc is ending because I saw it for 40 years in the future.
Yeah. Anyway.
So there was no surprise. It was just like, oh, we're going to go to the next one to kill. No, we're going to go to the next one to kill. She's probably going to kill that one too. It was just. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
anyway, Maxine.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that she murdered people. Maxine. Oh, yeah. You said it was.
I enjoyed it, but it was probably
your least favorite.
My least favorite of the trilogy.
I thought it was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. And as for me, I had a blast watching this movie.
I had a great time.
I really like the 80s New York aesthetic. It kind of reminded me of a film I only kind of barely remember, and it's only just sort of vibes in my head. Angel.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's a VHS which has a slice down the middle, and on one side is the girl as a schoolgirl, and the other side is her as like a prostitute.
Wildly problematic. In the movie, she is a schoolgirl.
Oh yeah,
thumbs
up. But it sort of had vibes of that.
Yeah, I think
VHS case.
I think if I'm not mistaken, last season on The Last Drive-In, they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, both of them, 1 and 2, or only one. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, Yeah, so it's still in the zeitgeist.
I had a blast with this. I thought the kills were really fun. I just felt like the reveal kind of sucked the wind out of the sails, and we're not going to spoil it until we get to spoilers.
Yeah.
But the reveal took the wind out of the sails for the whole story for me.
Oh, the whole story.
It was like, well, I mean, the whole experience.
Okay, because it made sense in the story for me, but I saw it coming because it made sense in the story.
Yeah, I was impressed that you saw it coming.
So... Yeah,
that was cool.
It didn't work for me. Not because the dots didn't connect, just because by then I think I didn't care. The movie is so pretty though. Like it's really well done.
Beautiful.
Like they capture the aesthetic really well. There are so many like little intricacies in this movie that I think are really fun. Like just how technology in 1985 works, which you see stuff now that depicts the 80s, like Stranger Things and whatnot, but that's just a sheen, not like how they actually talk to each other and how things aren't easy or how they are, like, you know, just the idea of having to have an extra long cord on your landline phone, because if not, then you wouldn't be able to move into another room, is just a detail that I don't think people really know unless they lived it, which I think is really cool.
And I actually liked her attempt to be a movie star. I was actually kind of invested in that.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was actually a really good side story.
That journey was cool. But I also
conversations with the director, while a little on the nose, I still was like, oh yeah, it's kind of fun.
But I also think in the third act, most of that was abandoned. I think the movie falls apart after the junkyard scene.
We gotta talk about Kevin Bacon.
Oh yeah, Kevin Bacon's the best part of this movie.
The MVP of this movie.
I love a sleazy Kevin
Bacon.
Sleazy Bacon.
He's so
delicious.
Cool.
He was having so much fun with this.
Yeah.
He
was a cartoon.
He literally was running around and like his legs were.
He had such a dumb run.
He's Foghorn Leghorn.
Literally.
I was about to say like Glass Onion.
Oh, I guess so.
Like he's
maybe
sort of
like
that broad of
a shitty racist version of it. Sure.
Yeah. But he's like doing that broad sort of kind of character.
We'll have no Ryan Johnson slander in this podcast whatsoever.
All right, let's move on to spoilers for MaXXXine.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holy shit, guys.
They smushed him.
They
smushed Kevin Bacon.
I looked at her and I was like, holy shit.
We both thought, I was like, it's a scare tactic. They're going to stop. Nope, they're cute. Oh,
they fucking smushed him.
They smushed him.
I loved it. I love that they smushed him. But okay, so this movie, and I didn't quite see it coming. This movie has a couple of different vibes going. I think it's got the 80s sleaze, but then it also has this sort of tongue-in-cheek fun element to it, which I think is something like the smushing. And then also, what are agents for? Like, obviously that's played for a laugh. You know? And I was like, what? What does he do? How does he do this for a living? You know what I mean? Giancarlo Esposito and his wig, like obviously there for laughs. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun that way, where it did sort of balance the sleaze and the serious killings, but also had a fun sort of tongue-in-cheek element to it.
And I want to say the things that I didn't like about this movie are, unlike X, all of the tropes were like, I was like, oh, those girls are going to a party alone. They're gonna die. Like
it happened like 4 times.
Yeah, and they're gonna. Oh, that girl's going to a party alone. She's gonna die. And like and
she has like a reveal. They show you
the head. Like Lily Collins' severed head out of the suitcase. Oh no!
You had Maxine, the main character, putting it all together. In a montage of memory of like,
you saw it all clicking in her head, and I'm like
you guys are banging on like the door of the problems I had with the movie. That I think it was a tonal mess. Like it wanted to be 4 things and couldn't commit to one. The crushing scene is where I did kind of check out, like, because it was shocking because it was supposed to be a scare tactic, and then they just kind of kept doing it and crushed him. My first thought was, cool. There's a half hour left, and you got rid of the best character. Nice. Second, why? And then the reveal of it just being like, what are agents for? I was like, what universe that was created in the previous hour and a half makes that the response from all of those characters? The movie just changed. Like when we were talking about earlier today, like I almost would have been a little bit more in if it was the response was, I thought you guys were going to turn it off.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to turn it off.
Something like that. Yeah. But the idea that her entertainment lawyer just becomes a guy that knows how to hide
he's a hitman
bodies.
And I'll clean it up.
I was like, what the fuck?
And they send the dogs to do it.
Am I crazy? I feel like there was a hint of that earlier where he's berating somebody or he's kind of yelling at somebody, and you kind of get a taste of like maybe he does have some connections. Maybe he does have a past.
Well, he was just talking about, I clocked that too. He was talking about like covering a spread or something, which maybe he sidelines as a bookie, but that still doesn't mean he's a fucking murderer hitman that knows how to dispose of bodies.
Kill someone in a junkyard.
We'll see that
comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, in the fourth movie, it's just about him.
Yeah.
Which on its own is not a big deal, but it was just one of the many times that the movie kind of winks at you, but then expects you to take the wink seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a bit of a tonal mess. And then the reveals.
I liked it so much that I didn't care.
The reveals at the end.
I still had a great time.
I'm glad I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I am glad I saw it. It is not a bad movie. Period. It is not a bad movie.
Right.
I just was like, ugh.
But after what X was, this was disappointing.
And the reveal of it all made me,
all of a sudden it was the end of the void.
Made me wish that it wasn't connected to this Maxine X verse.
Yeah.
If it was just a movie about a actress trying to make it big and this is happening and someone is covering up other murders to look like the Night Stalker and you find out it's a blah. Cool. To, in my mind, inorganically connect it to two other movies with a character that isn't a part of this now, which is the Pearl character, was just so ineffective.
Yeah. I was telling you about this after we saw it. When I first saw the trailer, I was nervous because they were going heavy on the Night Stalker plotline.
Yeah.
And I tend to have an issue with shows and movies.
Iran's original.
No, that is the Golden State Killer, aka Joseph D'Angelo. Yeah, this is Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, but
Night Stalker.
East Area Rapist, original Night Stalker.
Iran's? Yeah, he was before, but they renamed him after.
I watch a lot of documentaries.
Yeah, I have an issue with certain shows and movies bringing serial killers into their plotline because these are real people who murdered real people, and
it's sensationalizing.
Exactly, tragedy. And I get people are curious. I work in a freaking morgue. I got so curious about death that I made it a career. But I tend to have it like I enjoyed American Horror Story 1984, but they had a whole plot line with Richard Ramirez and they made him like a supernatural entity type thing. And I'm like, I'm not into this now. Like I'm not about this.
How did you feel about the actual movie Zodiac? Because that functions as
I liked Zodiac.
No, but I like to defend your stance.
Yeah.
That doesn't sensationalize anything. And the entire movie is the fact that they don't fucking know.
Yeah. And it's, that's also like movie. The true, like kind of a true story. It's like that person's
the
journalist's story about it, where like this would have been like putting it in a fictional world and like, but so I was kind of relieved when I realized along the way, I was like, oh, it's not actually him.
Right.
And they're just trying to cover it up.
Are we going to reveal who it is?
Yeah, we're in spoilers, right?
It's the dad. It's
the super religious dad who we see at the end of X, like ranting and raving about his sinning daughter.
We did?
Yeah, on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire
time. Was it during the credits?
Right before.
Okay.
So in Pearl and Harold's house, they're watching like some religious channel throughout the entire movie.
I remember that.
And at the end, when they're walking through the crime scene, they like zoom in on the TV and it's the dad. And he's like, my daughter, I lost her to the world of sin. This is her. And it's my daughter, Maxine.
I remember that now.
And then it was the end. Yeah. So like once I was like, oh, this is the super religious dad trying to make it look like satanic panic. He's taking advantage of satanic panic, trying to hide these murders. And then I was kind of glad it followed that storyline because it made sense to me in the story. And if it was somebody else, I would have been like, oh, who is this person?
Yeah. And why is he targeting
Why
Maxine?
is he targeting her?
That makes sense as a motivation, but how does that make sense in regards to, I don't know, having a house in the hills and a
too, I was thinking
cult?
about later. I'm like, this is an expensive house.
Yeah.
Unless so it seemed like he had a whole religious cult.
Yeah.
So maybe someone else had the house in the cult.
Maybe.
And he had a connection.
It's just a lot of headcanon to make it fit.
Yeah. A lot of yoga being done to stretch, to make it fit. You know?
But then another thing that really, really bugged me, and I brought it up earlier today, was so we have her about to make a choice. She has to make a choice whether to shoot him or not. Her father. The helicopter knows her name.
Yeah. Put the gun down, Maxine.
Yeah. Like, oh, you could read my jacket?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the fuck, she's nobody.
He's a huge porn fan.
Yeah. You know what? That was actually my favorite part in general.
I love your work.
Everyone's just like, oh, fan of your work, big fan of your work. And it was just like a way to like subtly show all the creepos in the movie, in the context of the movie. It also made the air of the movie very unsafe for her, which is nice. I mean, not nice, but like, it was a good vibe. But she needs to make this choice. And she flashes,
which we don't know is a flash.
Yeah, no, like it cuts and she's in the movie, and she found that, like, she caught the killer and helped out and blah blah blah, and now she's famous
doing interviews.
And then we cut back. It was just a reverse. It was an imaginary flash, and she's really about to make the choice, and she makes the choice and shoots his face off. Great. But then that shit happens anyway.
Yeah. There's no consequence to her choosing to pull the trigger.
Of that?
Yeah.
You could have just had. I wonder if it was just like an editing choice at the end. They're like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we did this? Because nothing really changes. She could have done that and then just showed us that whole thing and not have to Tarantino back a scene for no reason. I agree with that. I thought she was about to make a different choice, or things were going to go differently for her because they are showing us that was all in her head.
It wildly undermines the choice she eventually makes. Like, I think it's like armchair quarterback. Ty West is incredibly good filmmaker. So please, this is just my opinion. I think a better movie is fading to black as soon as she pulls the trigger. Period.
Ooh.
That's it.
Yeah.
Don't show what actually happens. You got to see her, because Pearl and Maxine were both desperately want to be stars or seen and noticed, and every choice that they made was based off of how to be that. Yeah. Even the most sick choices. Yeah. So for her to imagine that, if I just kill my father here, it's gonna work. Right. Is its own.
Oh, I see. Reward. Oh, I see. Keep it edited as it is.
Keep it in her imagination, and then we come back. She shoots. Boom. Done.
Yeah, that'd have been great.
But no, we get to see her be fine.
We certainly don't need to have that wrap-up conversation with her and the director at the end after that. It's sort of like an extraneous ending. I agree. That's a good point. Yeah. I felt similarly about the trailer that was before the movie.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that.
Was not
Heretic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was... it doesn't matter.
I'm still going to see it. It looks good.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, yeah, it did. But like you see the main character, and then you see this slow pull out of the door. Right, of the house. And then I was like, oh, please just cut. And then not show us what's about to happen and why this is creepy. Especially with what's his name at the helm. What's his name?
Hugh Grant.
I didn't need any of that other stuff afterwards.
Trap kind of looks cool too.
Trap looks great. Trap looks really cool.
I'm so apprehensive, but it looks fun. Yeah. I don't think I've enjoyed a Shyamalan movie in 2 decades.
No, not Glass. The one before Glass. The one before Glass.
I actually didn't think Split was very good either.
I love Split.
I haven't seen either.
Unbreakable was great.
Oh, I know. I've seen Unbreakable. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Glass is trash.
I all said and done, I like to love this whole trilogy. I had wanted to buy X. I wanted to buy Pearl, but I was like, oh, wait, they'll probably release a trilogy box set if they still do things like that. And I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray because I like all 3 of these movies enough that I will revisit all 3 of them probably several times before I bury myself.
Wow.
I really
You're
going
to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like that GIF.
I really, really like X. I've seen it, I think 3 times now. I think I'll probably end there. I would like to see Ty West do some other stuff. Yeah.
I want to see Mia Goth and more stuff too.
Yeah. She's so goddamn good in Pearl.
There's a whole...
it's annoying how good she is.
I read about it today. There's a whole lawsuit with her.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
What?
While we were... Mia Goth allegedly told Maxine Extra, suing her for battery on set, that no one will believe you because you're nothing.
Yeah, so
I might retract my statement.
2 hours ago.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Yeah. But apparently, the background actor was the only one there, and it was a scene where she has to run over the background actor. So I'm assuming it's the cult member in the hills that's dead there after the cops. Also, entire third act is off screen, which I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't get to see what is happening. It's just...
I'm sorry. It was worth it for me to see... Was it Michelle Monaghan?
Yeah.
To see Bridget Monaghan show up with a crucifix in her eye and then cartoon her way down the Hollywood Hill. Like, that was worth it for me. Because she's still talking. She's like, I told you I'd get him, blah, 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 blah. And she just like rolls down. I love that scene.
Yeah.
All of that to get me there. I loved it.
There's a cult member that's lying there on the ground and she runs by them. Apparently, in one of the takes... she got a little too close, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, you almost stepped on me."
Hunter alleges that Goth intentionally kicked him in the head, causing him a concussion, and then taunted, mocked, and belittled him.
That was the next take.
Yeah.
She actually, according to him, she intentionally kicked him on the next take.
Jesus.
And he was like hurt, but didn't say anything. And then he went to the bathroom, one of the porta potties, like down at the bottom of the hill, and she barged in and basically berated him. That's the story.
Jeez.
And he's suing A24, and this all happened in January. Like the lawsuit was filed in like January, February.
Wow. I
have
no idea.
Like, who knows? But
and
like, what else is? Can you pull up Ty West's?
Ura?
Can I bring up one scene we haven't talked about yet?
Go for it.
The nut crushing scene.
Oh, fuck you.
Sorry.
Oh yeah,
I had forgotten about that.
That served no purpose other than
she's not fucking
nut
around.
crushing, I guess. And it was just a random like guy that also likes to dress up like Buster Keaton. And
I know, what was with that? I thought it was going to be revealed that he was like a character actor. Like,
yeah. There's a couple times in the movie does that where it's like, is this the movie or is this in her fucking head?
I know. I thought it was going to be something like that, or like where it panned out and she was actually like on set, like filming something, and like, no, but she actually pulled out a gun and almost killed him.
Have I liked anything? Oh, I loved The Sacrament. That movie was awesome.
Sacrament was dope. I do love The Sacrament. That was
Innkeepers,
awesome.
I didn't finish. VHS, I really liked.
One episode of Scream, the TV series.
I did watch the first season of that.
So did I.
Wayward Pines.
Outcast, lots of TV.
Oh, the Exorcist TV show was great too.
I didn't see it.
Neither.
X Pearl.
Tales from the Loop. That was a fun sci-fi show.
Didn't he do a Western? Can you go down? This is X, like, In the Valley of Violence. That's right. He did a Western with Ethan Hawke. I think Sacrament was probably his best.
Sacrament was
all around
awesome.
movie.
Oh, I still think of that head scene.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, is that a different movie?
That's a different movie. You're talking about the rights, or you're talking about the one with Dan Stevens. Sacrament's the one.
Oh, this one's
This one's really good.
Yeah, we reviewed this on the Cannibal Horror Cast.
This is a really good, really good. Eerie movie.
It was around the same era as Kevin Smith's Red State, sort of same kind of vibe, cult stuff. Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, you should. This is a cool movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, these are movies worth seeing.
Yeah, definitely still worth seeing.
I can't wait to get the box set.
We'll see you guys next week, where we're going to be talking about maybe some other stuff.
Maybe. Or we might just sit here in silence with you all.
We're going to talk about
Twister.
I think we're going to talk about the original Twister from 1996.
Yeah.
In preparation for Twisters.
Multiple.
And we're going to talk a lot about the promotional art for Twisters.
So many people I respect have been on Twitter being like, why aren't they looking at the Twister behind them? And it's like, you can see in the mirror, the rear view mirror of the truck they're in front of, that there's a Twister that way. That's what they're looking at.
Because it's Twisters.
Jesus.
Now, I did see somebody who, in retort to that, was like, yeah, but if you reverse the image from the reflection, it wouldn't be in the direction that they're looking. And I wanted to just tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. Get off the internet. Carl says Necrotronic is a goofy mixture of The Exorcist, The Matrix, and Hellraiser. It's goofy as fuck, and I hope that you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, if we have time, like, we're gonna,
man.
We'll do it soon. I don't know if it's gonna be next week, but we'll do it soon.
Yeah. It sounds like he wants to send us a package, so maybe it'll be in there.
Well, it's on Prime.
It's made by the Roche Turner brothers, who made the Wormwood films, which are balls to the wall Australian zombie films across with Mad Max. Wormwood was dope. The first one was
I haven't
awesome.
seen, but it sounds like everything I love.
Oh, Wormwood. I forgot about that. That one and Doomsday. Two ones that I sort of put together for some reason. I had to buy X on Blu-ray from Germany because it was only available on DVD here. And Pink says, hey, quick recommendation. I despise Star Trek. I avoid kiddie shit, and I don't like cartoons, but I got a little high and watched Star Trek Prodigy, and it melted my cold, bitter heart.
I heard that it's very good. I just haven't had a chance yet.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah, I jumped on the Star Trek train, but I fell off immediately because of like the bear.
Because you were jumping onto Noel's Nicolas Cage train.
That's the Cage train. Yeah.
You heard the Nickelback.
Yeah.
I would pay to see Nick Cage play Chad Kroger
in a biopic.
in the story of Nickelback. But no, not a biopic about Nickelback. a
Nickelback versus zombies.
no,
He just makes an appearance in a different
no,
movie.
he plays Chad Kroger, the real Chad Kroger. Nicolas Cage plays Chad Kroger in a movie about Nickelback saving the world. So it's like a fictional, real thing.
What are they saving the world from?
Alice would not like that because Nickelback has real victims.
I don't know how to. Yeah.
And it is disrespectful to the victims of Nickelback to sensationalize their ass music.
Oh, I mean, you're sensationalizing.
I also feel like a ton of people are now going to be like, well, this movie's about a serial killer, and I bet you loved it. I'm like, damn it, I probably did. Like bitch. Zodiac. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, I did love Zodiac. I'm a hypocrite.
No, it's valid. When somebody fictionalizes or sensationalizes real life stuff, you should feel a way about it. It's a little off.
Okay, Zac Efron, Ted Bundy movie, hated it.
I didn't bother and see it.
Mostly because I found out that the woman who wrote the book, it's based off of Ted Bundy's ex-girlfriend's experience. And she wrote a book about it at one point and eventually took it off the shelves. Netflix was like, oh, this is based on her true story. She didn't know they were doing a movie about it until she saw the trailer.
Oh.
And so she re-released her book with more accurate information. And up until that point, her name hadn't been released. She released her name. She re-released her book. So I read that. Oh. And it was disturbing. Yeah. Awful. But like, I would rather hear her point of view than... Yeah.
I would like to see a movie about her story starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
As Chad
as
Kroger.
Her.
No, as Chad Kroger.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I guess I'll check out Prodigy. Are you going to do it?
I already started. I just haven't continued. Look, we got a couple of things for homework for next week, including now a request. So we'll put it on the list. Yeah. You know, we can do Star Trek Prodigy, Necrotronic. We're going to watch Twister. And we want to squeeze a comic in there somewhere. So
probably All-Star Superman.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will talk at you later.
Bye.
YUNKJunk!